personality questionnaires and neurodiversity. Now, whenever I suggest a behavioural assessment of some kind, people often ask, what is the likely impact on neurodiversity? And it's an important question. In reality, behavioural assessments are probably the best and fairest way to be assessing candidates who are neurodivergent. Why do I say that? Well, compare this to something like an interview, which is perhaps the worst way, especially on the basis of autism, for example. We know from the research that when it comes to autism and interviews, they show more adverse impact than any other selection tool on any other variable. It's awful. It's almost a guaranteed fail, and that's likely why there are so few autistic people in the workplace. They don't make it over this hurdle. And they don't make it over the hurdle because they don't make eye contact, because they face slightly away, because they answer questions bluntly, because they take everything literally and concretely. Things which they could do a very good job in the workplace with regardless, but because of the nature of the interview and the assessment method, they don't make it through unfairly and unjustly. There are no real barriers here. You're given behavioural statements they need to state the level of agreement with. It's untimed, so there's no information processing issues like there might be with, say, an ability test, where you would have to make an adjustment. There's no real basis for there being bias. And from the research, we know that there really aren't any personality differences on the basis of neurodiversity. We know that particularly people with dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, ADHD, personality-wise, across certainly the Big Five model personality, really no differences. Okay, that is important. And certainly when it comes to autism, any personality differences that show up there on a questionnaire are not going to be the result of bias, but instead actual secular differences in personality. So for example, let's say an organization wants an employee who is focused, someone who is structured and organized and likes routine, for example. Reasonable, particularly for administrative positions, particularly for sort of plant type work. That's exactly what you're looking for. And often autistic candidates show those characteristics innately. And if it's picked up in a personality questionnaire, it's not because it was biased, it's because it was measuring what it was intending to measure and picking up on differences that actually exist. And if you want the exact opposite, you want to hire people who hate structure, hate routine, people who think extremely abstractly, okay, they're probably not going to want to be in that organization doing that kind of work because it doesn't suit them. In the same way that if someone who is neurotypical, if they just have that personality, they're not going to enjoy that kind of work. It works perfectly. Not only is it fair, it effectively enhances the fairness of the process. And it ensures that the right people are in the right job at the same time, without any clear reason for there being bias. So if this is a concern for you, if neurodiversity is something you are trying to enhance, and you are looking for assessments which are particularly light in this area and ensure an equal level playing field, behavioural assessments are definitely the way to go.